What's up guys, I'm Dean and welcome back to my channel. I'm sure I don't need to tell you guys that Spider-Man No Way Home is out in a mere few days as of time of recording. I've got my tickets for Wednesday, don't worry, I'm not going to be spoiling it when it comes out or anything, I'll behave myself. But in the meantime, I've rewatched all 8 major Spider-Man movies and I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to rank them. Are you falling? That's falling. Don't fall, I just started the video. I'm sorry about that, guys, but I thought I nailed that intro, and that's a rare occurrence for me, so I'm just going to keep on going, and if this falls over again, we're going to be having issues. I've ruined the intro. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you think of my Spider-Man ranking, whether you disagree with it, because honestly, my Spider-Man ranking before rewatching all these movies is very different to what it is now. Spoilers for all 8 Spider-Man movies that have already come out. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil No Way Home or anything. But with all that being said, let's jump into it. In 8th place, surprising me, we have Spider-Man 3. I'd normally put another movie in last place when someone says which is your least favourite Spider-Man movie. But I enjoyed that movie more than I thought. And I did enjoy Spider-Man 3 more than I thought I would too. But I think this does have too many egregious errors. I love the stuff with Sandman. I think Sandman is an excellent inclusion in this movie, and I think all those elements work really well. I don't like Venom, and I don't like Harry Osborn. Really. I think Harry Osborn is so close to being something great. I think you could fix this movie quite easily. Which is what I do on one of my podcasts. We talk about the good in the movie, then we talk about the bad, and then we improve it. I have done this movie, so click up there if you want to see that. I got the right corner. It is up there. Well done, Dean. Yeah, so the stuff with New Goblin I'm not a fan of. I don't like the fire-breathing surfboard or the design of him. I don't like the amnesia. The amnesia is a horrible inclusion in this movie. And yeah, all those elements just don't work for me here. They just don't do it. They just don't. And Venom. Venom is awful. You get very little of the black suit. Bully Maguire gets some fun moments. I think a lot of the dialogue and the comedy here works well. J. Jonah Jameson is of course amazing, but Topher Grace, come on, man. What are you and your frosted tips doing here? I also think this movie has the worst romance of any Spider-Man movie. I think you can't really argue with the fact that the Raimi trilogy has awful romance. It hasn't aged well at all. And I think this movie is probably where that's at its worst. I don't like the whole MJ subplot of her losing her, acting job and all that sort of elements of it. It just didn't work. There was way too much going on. And it's a real disappointment because I would have loved to see a good version of this movie. I would have loved to see Sam Raimi complete his trilogy. Actually, something I would say about Spider-Man 3 is that this movie also has the best Stan Lee cameo ever, which is a big achievement considering he's done like 30 or 40 cameos. So good job, Stan. But in 7th place we have The Amazing Spider-Man 2, the movie that I thought that would be in last place. I enjoyed this movie more on a rewatch just because Andrew Garfield is my favourite Spider-Man. I'll get this out now. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Get over it. I don't know why I'm being so aggressive about this, but I do feel so strongly that Andrew Garfield is an incredible actor, and I think he nails Peter Parker and Spider-Man to the T. And while we're speaking about these movies, they've got by far the best romances of any Spider-Man movie ever. The romance in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is excellent, while in Spider-Man 3 it is absolutely awful. The romance in Amazing Spider-Man 2 is just great for me all round. Emma Stone is incredible in these movies, and this movie is no exception. Now, don't get me wrong. Are there any good villains in this movie? No. Spider-Man 3 has 1 good villain in Sandman, and this movie has 0 good villains. Electro, I kind of like the stuff at the start with him being all like, oh wow, I love Spider-Man, although they take that a bit far when he's talking to the mirror and everything. Green Goblin, Dane DeHaan, perhaps controversially I'll say this, does a great Green Goblin, just a terrible Harry Osborn. I like the design of the Green Goblin, and I like the moments which involve him. I just don't like Harry Osborn in this movie, so I still think that villain is really weak, and I'm not going to talk about Rhino. He's barely in it, and he's awful. But this movie has so many beautiful sequences. It's got the best Spider-Man suit. All these elements really just combine to make a movie which I enjoyed a lot more than I thought I was going to enjoy it. And also, if you want to know how I would improve The Amazing Spider-Man 2, then I also did a podcast on that a couple of weeks ago. The link is up there. Go check it out. Or else. Nah, just kidding. Do what you want. In sixth place is Spider-Man Far From Home. I really enjoy this movie. We are now getting into the good Spider-Man movies because, spoiler alert, I love most of these movies. Jake Gyllenhaal is an amazing villain. He does a great job of playing a character of someone you think you can trust but turns out to be a manipulative dirtbag. I think he does that role really well. I really, really love the comedy in this movie. This is one of the funniest Spider-Man movies. It's got the funniest scene of any Spider-Man movie, any MCU movie, when the teacher's about to drop the camera into the river. That, honestly, that scene just makes me laugh so much. But there's something missing here. I think this doesn't feel very Spider-Man to me because I think the emotional thrust of the movie in a lot of ways is somewhat lacking. I enjoy Mysterio, like I said, and I enjoy Nick Fury, and I enjoy the world tour element of it. Just to mix up a Spider-Man movie a bit, but something is missing there to be the emotional drive. In fifth place is Spider-Man Homecoming. What to say about Spider-Man Homecoming? Because I am torn on so many elements. I think this is the funniest Spider-Man movie, and I think this nails the high school experience, at least for me, better than any of the other Spider-Man movies. It is so just realistic, and the characters are great, and all those elements really, really work for me. I don't have an issue with the Tony Stark mentorship, apart from one issue. I think Vulture in this movie is right. He's one of those villains who is correct in what they're doing. And that's normally a great thing when it comes to villains. But it's not when your main character doesn't address that at all. I think the movie should have ended with Spider-Man having a falling out with Tony Stark over this and being like, no, I'm not joining the Avengers because you're wrong and you created the issue. And that's it. And then he storms out. And then that would have made Infinity War way more interesting as well. I got this idea from Peyton JB on TikTok in a conversation I was having with him the other day. So that is what this movie is missing for me. But it's still got so many amazing moments with him lifting the building and the Vulture is probably my favourite Spider-Man villain ever. Like, I'm sorry to say that if that upsets you. Deal with it. I really, really love Michael Keaton, and the bit in the car when he figures out who Spider-Man is, it's an incredible scene and one of the best scenes in any of these movies. And I love that twist of him being Liz's dad. I think that works really well. I think the romance is pretty solid here as well. It's pretty good. Nothing amazing. I think Tom Holland does a great performance. Or everyone does a great performance. And I do enjoy Tony Stark's inclusion for the most part. It really annoys me when people say Iron Boy Jr. I'm not going to lie. Tom Holland isn't my favourite Spider-Man, but he does a great job in this movie. I really think that. I also really love the Ferris Bueller vibes, Breakfast Club vibes they're going for here. I think John Watts does the most interesting stuff directionally here, despite being quite a bland director, especially when you compare him to Sam Raimi. Why does he have to direct Fantastic Four, man? Come on. Come on. Bringing us into the top half of this list, in fourth place we have The Amazing Spider-Man. This will be the last time I mention my podcast, I promise, but we did an episode on this with Lex Reviews because it's his favourite movie, and we talked through it all there, and why Andrew Garfield is both of our favourite Spider-Mans. The link is up there. It's not Fluffy Duffy's favourite Spider-Man because he's a loser. Sorry, Harlan, if you're listening to this. Just someone's got to break that news to you at some point. Anyway, Amazing Spider-Man. There are so many elements that I love about this movie because I enjoy Uncle Ben in this movie. I think him being harder on Peter is an excellent inclusion. I think the chemistry that Peter has with Aunt May, I think their relationship and their like mother-son bond is incredible. I think it's better in Amazing Spider-Man 2. I should have said that earlier on. But here it works really well. And I like how they changed the origin story just enough to still make it interesting, but keeping to the core elements that we know as Spider-Man. Of course, Emma Stone, Gwen Stacy, incredible here once again. Their romance is the best part of the Amazing Spider-Man duology. And Andrew Garfield really nails this kind of nerdy Peter Parker for me. I love his Peter Parker, and I absolutely love his Spider-Man. His quipping and all that is so amazing. I think there are some tonal issues here with this movie, not knowing how dark to be. And I'm not a massive fan of the Lizard. I think he serves an excellent physical threat. And the way Spider-Man tackles that and the way he moves around the lizard is excellently done. I think Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man is the most interesting in the action scenes and the way he swings around the city. I think they're the highlights of Andrew Garfield for me, which I didn't say earlier on. But just as a mental challenge, I'm not a massive fan of the lizard, and his plan to turn the whole city into lizards isn't amazing either. And he's no better as Kirk Connors either. But Andrew Garfield's still my favourite Spider-Man, and this is obviously the best movie of the two for him, in my opinion. So I've ranked it pretty highly. It's in the top 4. But let's go into the top 3, because this is where things get controversial, even more controversial. In third place, we have Spider-Man 2. I love this movie. Don't get me wrong. I'll get into why I prefer Spider-Man 1 in a minute, but Spider-Man 2 is kind of a blueprint for a near perfect superhero movie, because Sam Raimi understood that the core of Spider-Man's character is that he's a working class hero just struggling through life while still trying to do the right thing. I think that's something that the MCU misses. I think that's the main core Spider-Man element the MCU misses. But because this movie is a personal drama first and then a superhero movie second, and that what makes Spider-Man really an amazing character for me. Amazing, pardon the pun. Doc Ock is of course amazing. Alfred Molina is a great villain. I think this movie is probably where the Peter MJ romance is the best in the Raimi trilogy. That's not saying lots, because it's still a bit weird here. J. Jonah Jameson is of course amazing. I'm going to say that for all of these Raimi movies, but yeah, that I think that's everything I've got to say before. No, I'll complain about this movie. What I think this movie needed is more time with Otto Octavius and Peter Parker before we get Doc Ock and Spider-Man. I think their link there isn't as strong. Moving into second place, we have Spider-Man, the first one. I've ranked this higher just because I think I prefer the bond that Green Goblin and, well, Norman Osborn and Peter Parker have before they become enemies. I think seeing that progression throughout the movie and Norman Osborn slowly figure out who Peter Parker is, I think that works excellently, and I think it's a near perfect origin story. Nowadays, if that came out in a movie, you'd be a bit annoyed because it's so by the numbers and predictable. But that's because Sam Raimi made the formula for this. This is so much of what the modern day superhero movie is built upon, and it still has the family personal drama element. Uncle Ben is incredible. I'm running out of adjectives because Uncle Ben is phenomenal. Just one of the best origin stories ever, in my opinion. Just because it's the blueprint. This is what everything is based off. This origin story is done so well to Sam Raimi, and the villain is great, and the action is great, and the romance is pants. And Harry Osborn is probably best in this movie. From this point onwards, it's just downhill. Aunt May works really well. Have I mentioned how good Uncle Ben is? Just all these elements really make this the best live-action Spider-Man movie, in my opinion. Which surprised me. I would not have put this in second place before I did this ranking. I don't even know if I would have put Spider-Man 2 in second place before I rewatched all of them. But in first place, if we're talking about the best origin story of all time, Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. Everyone should have seen this coming. This is like my third favourite movie of all time, my second favourite movie of all time, my favourite superhero movie of all time, my favourite animated movie of all time. I have so much love to give to this movie. And I'm sure, I hope you guys know why. It is beautiful. The way this movie is animated is unlike anything I have ever seen. And every single character and every single frame and every single second of this movie is just perfectly looking. Just no complaints there at all. And I think the origin story is so good, and the movie is so funny. I love the other Spider-Man they bring, and I think the voice acting is incredible. My personal favourite is Spider-Man Noir, if we're talking about the smaller Spider-Man appearances here. I mean, if we're talking about small Spider-Man appearances, play Spider-Man, because he's so little. But just I've got a post for this movie just there. And yeah, I really love everything this movie does. I think the villains work great. I think the teamwork works great. But the highlight of this movie is the progression of Miles' character over his time as Spider-Man. That is the highlight here for me, because I love him becoming Spider-Man. I think the best scene in any movie ever, full stop, is the leap of faith scene. Like, I'm literally getting goosebumps now just thinking about this scene, because it is truly mind-blowing and just I really think in a lot of ways this movie changed my life. And that sounds sad, but it's true. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you about superhero stuff if it wasn't for this movie, perhaps. I don't know. I don't know what my life would have been like, guys. But yeah, there's really nothing not to like about this movie. For me, it is perfect. All the inclusions of all the weird characters. I love it when movies do weird things. And this movie does weird things with like Spider-Ham and Spider-Man Noir and Penny Parker and all that sort of thing. And I love how they introduce all these characters seamlessly and perfectly, and how you have the emotional drive of Spider-Man dying at the start. And all these elements just create, for me, a perfect movie. So there is no doubt that this one is in first place. But who knows where Spider-Man No Way Home is going to rank in this? If I had to guess, I'm going to say third place. I guess we'll have to wait and see, though, together. When I watch that, I've got tickets for it on the Wednesday, but I'll behave. I won't spoil it or anything. There will be a review for it up here Wednesday or Thursday, hopefully, if I get my life together. And I'm just so excited to see it, because I love Spider-Man, and I love talking about these movies with you guys. With all that said and done, please remember to like and comment and subscribe, like I said at the start. Tell me what your favourite... Write your ranking down below. I want to see your entirety of your ranking. If you comment that on YouTube, I will reply to that comment, and I'll give you my thoughts on your ranking. If you want that, you know? Just I'll do that for you, personally, this person watching this right now. But like I said, thank you for watching. And I'll see you next time. Bye.